You're listening to the podcast called What No One Knows. I'm your host, Lisa Marie Garcia. Please join us as I talk with some of the most important influencers, from entrepreneurs to C-suites to founders to venture capitalists. You will want to know their answer to the question, what no one knows. Thank you for joining. Okay, hello. This is Lisa Marie Garcia, and you are watching and listening to another episode of What No One Knows. We are in the beautiful Wave Studio 1 at the Tampa Bay Wave Studios, and we're going to talk about some great nuggets of wisdom that apply to startups and entrepreneurs and business owners and founders and just professionals everywhere. So I'm excited that you're joining us, and let me introduce our first guest. So our guest is Laisha Daley, and she's in studio. We're going to talk about her and what she's doing, but just in brief, I'm going to read a little bit of bio, but we're going to really dig into some great content as we talk with her. But she is the Chief Marketing Officer and the co-founder of a company that we're going to talk about, InStock RX. She has a health tech background. She has a startup entrepreneur background. She works with youth to professionals in her career, and she's just got so much going on in her life right now. So welcome to the studio, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me and for the opportunity to connect today.
I'm excited for people to hear more about you because we've chatted a little bit, and I'm excited that I know what I know about you. All right, well, let's talk about, I'd like you to talk about a program that many people know in Tampa called Next Gen Tech. I'd like you to tell people about that program. I think it's a great program, and then also talk about the fact of what you do for them, which is being one of their judges.
Absolutely. Yes, so I've been an active volunteer with the Next Gen Tech program, NGT 360, we call it for short. And it's an amazing program if you've never heard about it, but we call it a Youth Tech Shark Tank. So these are high school teams across Tampa Bay. And what they do is they go through a rigorous program lasting really the whole entire length of the school year. And so they come together, they come up with a problem that they want to solve and a solution that leverages technology. And so they have to not only, come up with a minimally viable product, so in the span of 6 to 7 months, again, high school students, developing a minimally viable product that leverages technology. And then they have to create a business pitch that describes the value proposition, their go-to-market strategy, and they present to marketplace leaders. And so I serve as a judge. I've been a judge with the program now about the last 3 years, but have been a business coach and have seen many different perspectives of that business coach, business mentor experience.
Such a great program.
It's amazing.
Thank you for explaining it. So one of the questions I have is, as a judge, there's that X factor sometimes that come in. What do you say overall when obviously you have different criteria that you're judging on and that, but what would you say overall you're looking for, you're finding when you're comparing different high school students pitching to you through the program?
Yeah, so for me, I really only get to interact with them at the beginning of the season and then see them again through the mock pitches and then to the final pitch. So what I would say is there is the mock pitch experience. So this is their practice round, and they get feedback from us. So it's like preparing them for the real thing, just like you would as if you were here at the Wave and doing pitch night. But we do pitch practice with them. We give them feedback. And I would say the ones that actually take the coaching and the feedback, so having a teachable spirit is definitely one of those things that while we have a rubric where we're looking at, did they articulate the problem and do they have a solid solution for that? Is there a good product market fit? So there's technical things we're looking at, but we're also looking at the coachability of the students and the team overall. We get to see really as they're delivering their pitch, you can see which ones have bonded as a team and, versus ones that may have a really good idea and have a solid communicator, but they haven't worked effectively as a team. And that sometimes is the thing that holds them back from success. So I think the chutzpah, and the it factor is being coachable, being teachable, and actually, taking that feedback to heart and then saying, okay, this is for me. This is like to better my pitch. This is an improvement. This isn't a criticism or anything like that. And
or you don't take it personal.
That's right.
Or those two factors, 100%, right, are 100% the quality for, I think, every successful business owner, professional. I have a rock on my desk that says coachable. And I mean, that is such a quality that not only you should have when you're high school age, but forever. Mm-hmm. None of us, I mean, the world evolves. Everything's evolving. Everything's changing. None of us know everything, right? And if we don't have that spirit to understand that we don't know everything and that we can learn from everyone and that we should not take offense and say, thank you for giving me feedback. Thank you for giving me, whatever you're giving me, reviews or that. I love that you're looking for that. And it can be learned. And especially in that age group, it's not, I mean, I'm a mom of young college students that, they do think that they know most everything, at least more than I do, right? For sure.
Right. Years back, they'll tell you, okay, Mom, maybe you knew some.
Right, years later, The fun
for.
thing was when there were student drivers, and even though I had how many years as a driver, I didn't know. I didn't understand, but anyway. So I love that you brought that up, and it's such an important quality. And then the idea that you do understand being part of a team, huge, right? And I think with sports, people that grew up in part of a sports team, they learn that early on. They learn that they're not always the, quarterback or not always, on the pitching mound. They learn sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. They're all together for one, not all together for them.
Yes.
And that team quality, I think, is invaluable within a company.
Absolutely. I mean, we have the Olympics going on right now. So, I mean, you think about like the dream team, the basketball team. Yep. You can have this, incredibly stacked lineup of players. They're all experts and they're specialists in their position. But if you haven't figured out how to work together, it can sound more like noise than a symphony. So,
100%. Yeah. So thank you for throwing those qualities out to our listeners is mainly, startups and entrepreneurs and all that. It's just good things to circle back to for sure.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, even just to piggyback off on that, like from a startup perspective, right? You're co-founding team. So you may start as a solopreneur and then you realize, okay, I actually have to recruit and hire or, recruit for talent because I have a gap in a skill set or, I'm strong in one area, but I'm not in the other. So when you're finding your team, especially your as you're asking people, well, hey, will you come on as a co-founder? Is there a, mutual understanding, a like-mindedness, and then being able to leverage each other's strengths. So you may have gifts on one area, but you need to, recruit for others. And that as you're forming a team, that's one of the things you got to look for as a founder.
Forming a team is a big job. Yes. The right team, and
right team.
What is that saying? Having the right people on the bus, kicking the people that aren't right on the bus. I mean, that's really the team and the human connection for success, as you see, is a recipe that is successful or complete failure. Mm-hmm. I mean, right? If we interviewed how many startup entrepreneurs, they would tell you that it failed, and if you really dig down. Mainly, it's the communication within the human factor.
Yes,
is what my opinion is. Yeah, agree. You kind of got into what I wanted to ask you, as you are an expert in go-to-market strategies and how in all the companies that you've helped. What do you see is really kind of the primary, most of the time, the issue that they can't go-to-market strategy successfully, or they have to work and get there? What do you usually see that being? In your experience?
Yeah, that is a great question. And actually, two things came to mind. But one would be, there's a lot of thoughts of, well, what channels make sense for me to be in? And that's really dependent on your business. And so especially when you're developing like an online presence, sometimes there's a mindset of, I have to be everywhere. Right. And in reality, it's like, no, actually, you need to be selective about knowing who your target audience is and where they are, and then, go into those right channels. So, for example, we've got like B2B SaaS platforms as part of the health tech cohort. And it's like, okay, should I have like Facebook and Insta and this and that? And I was like, actually, you're probably going to find them on LinkedIn.
Right.
Or you might find them on YouTube, or create content that's educational. And so it's more of understanding like, okay, if you have a well-defined target customer or prospect, really understanding where they are and then creating content that meets them where they are, but don't feel like you have to go boil the ocean and be everywhere all at once, because especially with a startup, a small team, you're just gonna you're gonna dilute your effectiveness.
Right.
So that's one area, is like channels. And then the other part of it is actually like branding. So I've seen startups that are like, okay, we're changing our name and we got to do this. Like, okay, but now you have to reconcile your brand of who you are and why did you pick this or why did you change? And so sometimes helping people, even though they're in a startup phase, to be able to say, actually, you're going through a rebranding as you're launching. And so you have to really have that brand alignment.
I love that you, or it's interesting to me that, at the Tampa Bay Wave, it's all a tech companies supporting different tech type cohorts, right? But in that, the issues are around telling their story, telling who they are, making sure it's concise and clear, and then making sure all the marketing, branding is aligned.
Yes.
Which is really not tech,
Yes.
but so critical and so important. And, as I'm in book publishing and promotion, I mean, that's what we live and breathe every day. But, it's just, I think it's also part and parcel to the idea that we all know that there's a short attention span that and I'm even that way. If the video doesn't capture me in like 1 second, forget it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where we live in that world that it's, can I quantify it? Can I define it? Do I understand it? Do I care to know about it? So you're lost if it isn't. And then if you look at another place and it's the same company, you're like, what's going on?
Yes.
Oh, forget it. I'll go find someone else that I understand, that speaks to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a crazy statistic Gartner published. I'm not sure exactly what year, but there was a study that they did, and this is really around like B2B buyers. 31% cite that a contradictory message or inconsistent messaging leads to disqualification of them as a vendor. So 31% of B2B buyers will say, with any inconsistent or unclear messaging around their value prop or anything like that, that's what gives them the reason to disqualify you. And so when first impressions matter and your story matter, and having that cohesive, that clear, concise, complete message of who you are, what you're trying to solve, what you're going after, why you and why your brand, you've got to be really solid on that, because otherwise there isn't really a second chance.
Huge. A third of
B2B buyers. Yeah,
B2B buyers.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about it. I introduced it a little bit about what the Wave does, but I'd like to have you explain what a mentor is. You're a mentor for the Wave, and what you love about the Wave, what your perspective is coming from the outside. With being part of this group, just kind of share that with our listeners, if you would.
Sure, yeah. So even my journey into the Tampa Bay Wave has really been within the last year, and I was familiar with the Tampa Bay Wave and what they represented. It has a great brand in and of itself, being Florida's #1 accelerator. And so, but what I love about the Wave is really just how the mentor community is such a giving community. I would say for the mentors and the founders, it's just this great area of collaboration and real community, coming in and coming into some mentor activities and workshops. The mentors really are giving. They're givers by nature. It's like, hey, I want to help you out. I want to, help lift you up or elevate, whether that's your investor pitch, whether that's your go-to-market strategy. And so as a mentor, one of the things we have to do as we come in is we have to kind of talk about our superpowers. And so that way the founders who are participating in the accelerators that they know and can direct the questions based on your superpower. So it gives the founders a lot of insight into who you are and how you may be able to provide value for them that they aren't going to get anywhere else. So that's really, that they know coming in, okay, this person is really focused on government contracting, or this person is focused on research and analyst insights, and can help get your name out there in the community, or go to market, or more of the technical aspects. So I love that the Wave has figured out this really awesome way to get the right mix of mentors into their accelerators, and that we're just giving to each other. It's wonderful.
I agree. We were talking about we're both part of the medical or health tech,
yes.
cohort. Did you happen to were you, when you did the speed mentoring, which I just think is so ingenious, right? Were you with someone else as a mentor, or were you the one mentor with there?
So I was the only mentor, and then the founders within the cohort, they rotated to me.
Okay. So I happened to be with another one, and it was kind of fun because we kind of figured out how we can help them together.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
What would you say, did you have maybe a favorite or health tech, or maybe talk about one that was interesting? I think share off this latest cohort that's on right now.
There are so many.
Right?
I love them. So the one that I've really gotten to spend, or two that I've spent a little bit more time with, have been Superb. And so Superb is actually, it's a mobile app, but it's really connecting. It's focused on senior living communities and connecting healthcare workers, and really being like a secondary stream of income for healthcare workers, and that want to go pick up shifts. And there's flexibility for the healthcare worker, but it also gives some comfort to the facilities, because they're doing all of the compliance and making sure that the people that are going to be at their facilities are people that they can trust, that they've been vetted properly. And it's going after kind of the old-fashioned model of like an agency where, there's agency fees around all of that. So very disruptive tech. And then another one has been around Mercurial AI, which is, it helps to gather the data around breast cancer and having a first treatment plan that works.
Right.
Because I heard the statistic, it's like 20% of them, when they get the first treatment for attacking breast cancer, that it fails. Like they're not responsive to it. So it's like time is not on your side when you're battling breast cancer, and being able to have a way that actually goes to, here are the best practices, their personalized treatment plans, and that they're effective. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, no, you're right. There were so many great ones, but thank you for highlighting those two. I want to ask you, there's a question that we cover, and it has to do with experience. And what would you say is something you've learned over your professional career that you think maybe only experience taught you, or at least experience really solidified how you believe now and how you move forward?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest theme, if I could put a theme for 2024, the writers of 2024 of my life, it's been the theme of nothing is ever wasted. And that is only through experience. And so what I mean by nothing is ever wasted is even in the early stages of your career, when you're coming out of college, or, you're just getting that first job out of college, or maybe a trade school, that those experiences, the people that you meet, the things that you encounter, they're not just for that season. For me, I came out of college and went into consulting. And so a lot of the things that I got to do and learn, they've actually propelled me in the next season. So when I left consulting and went to a marketing services firm, that I was taking those skills and those experiences with me, and I was like, okay, I know how to do this better this time. I learned something new about myself and say, okay, I actually am more passionate about this area of expertise, and I want to go explore that. So for me, it's been, my career is a tapestry. And that's where I say, the experiences of my early stage of my career compared to where I am now, it's really the culmination of those experiences and relationships. So being the CMO and co-founder of InStockRx actually happened by way of a relationship with one of the other co-founders where I was actually his I was his trainer when we were both in consulting. So we're going back like over 20 years where Jeremy, he's the co-founder and like the CTO of InStockRx. He and I worked at the same consulting firm, and we met each other. He was in New York at the time, and I was based out of here in Tampa. And we met in Philadelphia at our training facility up there. So I was his trainer, and then we just kept in touch over the years.
Right.
And then now our kids, we happen to that he moved, and so now his family lives in the same area. Our kids go to the same school. Like the way that this whole thing has played out so far has been, just bringing people at the right time. And even at Christmas time, he said, "Hey, like I've got this really great idea, and we're growing, and we need some help around sales and marketing and go-to-market strategy." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take a look, see." And anyway, so I had some, compelling events that said, "Hey, actually, I have, time to, work with you on that." And but that conversation or that, coming to be the CMO of InStockRx would not have happened had I not had that relationship built from over 20 years ago. So.
And then, like you said, and all the skills and the talent and the experience, that's great advice. We're getting close to the end of our show, but I do want to dig in a little bit. Tell us about InStockRx.
Yeah, so InStockRx is a marketplace. It's really helping community pharmacies liquidate their surplus inventory and improving their cash flow. If I could talk about the story of the community pharmacy owner, they're kind of dealing with a three-headed monster right now of out-of-stock medications, having surplus medications, and that's really like wasting dollars, especially when you're owning a small shop. Like every dollar matters. Right. And then, of course, like the reimbursement rates of PBMs. So we can't solve that one, right, but we definitely help with solving 2 out of those 3. So we have a marketplace where pharmacies can transact and trade medications with other pharmacies, so that they're not having. There's another statistic here: $11 billion in waste in medications that just get thrown away. So it's overstock, it's dead stock, it's not moving, and so that's real dollars for an independent pharmacy. So we're helping them with improving their cash flow by providing that marketplace where they can list it, they can actually sell there. And then in the case of the out-of-stock side, if they have a patient that's waiting on a medication, they can do like a micro-fulfillment. Let's say it's out of stock at their primary wholesaler, but there's another pharmacy down the road that actually has some. They can actually source it, and it's like a microfill for them. So we facilitate the transaction, the facilitation of payment, and then the actual records themselves, because they need to comply with the DSCSA, Drug Supply Chain Security Act. And so we do that in a transparent way. We're giving them everything that they need, so everything is done above board, and we're really driving positive outcomes for the community pharmacy that really needs it right now.
That sounds like a great business, right, and a needed one from what you said. So thank you for sharing that. And we are out of our time here, so thank you for being here. Thanks for your time and your wisdom, and appreciate you very much. Laisha Daley, they'll connect with you in the notes. We'll put all the connections so you can connect with her on LinkedIn, take a look at her website, and see what the great rockstar entrepreneur, Tampa Bay Wave mentor she is.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to our show, What No One Knows. If you'd like more information regarding our guests, it's in the description below, as well as if you'd like to work with our publishing and promotion team, that you can also find in the links. Thank you.